Hey everyone, so I recently saw online a lot of people saying that you shouldn't switch from a 2018, 17, 19 Civic Si to a 2020 Si. There just weren't enough changes to make it worth it. So I'm a little different in that case. I did switch from a 2018 Si to a 2020 Si. Now, I switched for a little bit of a different purpose than to get a new car. I switched more for the fact that my old car was actually worth more than my buyout on it. So I sold it back to the dealership and they put me in a 2020 for the exact same monthly payment that I was paying for my 36-month lease. And honestly, I've only got a few hundred miles on this car. It's probably got about 300. I've had it for just under a week. But there's a lot of decent changes, so if we start it up, we're gonna take it for a little drive. It's still got all the same features that the original ones had, the 17, 18, 19. Comes with the backup camera, comes with the lane watch camera, all the same features, but they did add a lot of features, and everyone says that they hate these features, but I don't see the issue with them. I know that it comes with like the lane keep assist, but I mean, they made adaptive cruise control on a manual, which is crazy to me. And being able to do a long drive and just still be in a Civic Si, but also have the comfortability that like a Honda Accord has, or even a touring model regular Civic has, it's kind of a nice feature. I really didn't think I was going to use it that much, but it just makes sense to use it because it's so much easier. The lane keep assist keeps you in the center of the lane on the highway. The departure warning stops you from going out of the lane. And there's just so many, it makes it so much easier to daily drive this vehicle, because I honestly don't think it's a great daily driver. Its suspension's a little hard for a daily driver, and you have sport mode, but it's kind of like a hard setting or a break your back setting, which there's not a big difference between the two, but when you're driving it every day, you kind of realize that like every little bit of the softer suspension helps on your drivability. So another big feature that Honda I think a big feature is that when you're sitting on a hill in my old Civic Si and you had to get going, it was like you had to give it just more RPMs than you would think you needed to in order to get the car rolling. And it wasn't a major pain, but at the same time, having a tiny little 1.5 liter engine just makes it so you need the turbo to kick in order to get any power. I know they only reduced the final drive by 6%, but it's actually 5.6%. It's not even 6%. But at the same time, it made a little bit of a difference where first gear is so much easier, and anyone learning to drive a manual can literally get in this car and just drive it. My old one, I mean, I've been driving a manual for a few years now, and maybe once or twice a year I'll stall it just for whatever reason. A hill too steep or just whatever. I didn't realize I was in gear, and then took my foot off the clutch, and thank God my parking brake was on. But lowering it 5.6% made a little bit of a change where you can just kind of tap the gas pedal in first and you're gonna be moving. You're not gonna stall it. You're not gonna have to worry about anything like that. And I think it was really such a small feature, but such a well done feature. They really needed to change that, and the fact that they did shows that they are listening to what people are saying. So I'm actually going in to hand in the old license plates for my old car, and that's why I'm taking this for a drive. But I noticed that they said they changed the radio around, and they changed all the buttons on the radio. They said it was a new, different CarPlay and everything like that, but honestly, CarPlay looks exactly the same as it did on my other car. I still have the menus there, I still have the map. I still have everything there, so I don't really see what they're talking about when they said they changed the menu. The buttons, on the other hand, greatest addition that Honda ever did. Having a volume knob is just like night and day. I mean, not that I don't think anyone that really owns a Honda Civic probably uses the volume on the radio too much. I think most of the time you're going to use it on the steering wheel just because it's easier. But they added home buttons, audio buttons, phone buttons, back. They added a lot of nice buttons, and it's nice to be able to touch a button instead of having to touch a touchscreen, especially when you're moving and the car's bouncing around on the highway or something like that. Trying to find a touch button that you can't feel any different from just the regular trim or side of the screen or anything like that is kind of a pain. So being able to just put your hand out and touch a button makes a huge difference. They also added the black wheels right for this year. I love the black wheels. The other ones were kind of like a silver and black together, and they looked cool. They looked really cool. When I got the car, I was excited about it, but I think I've just always thought about plasti dipping or powder coating the old rims just to straight black, and the fact that they did that on this car, I think it really helps the sporty look of this car, especially if you get like tinted windows or put any decals on the back of your car or something, and really customize it to make it your own. I think a lot of SI drivers want to do some work to their car. They don't really buy an SI and then just drive it how it is. They make it their own, and that's the cool part about being an SI driver is there's forums online where you can go on, and if you see how many hundreds if not thousands of people are talking about their car, it's kind of cool to see that everyone's in the same boat, and the fact that we all have a Civic SI kind of brought us together. So a few other things I want to talk about on this car are the fact that they shortened the shifter on the 2020 SI also, which doesn't really do anything different. I know a lot of people like the short throw shifters and everything like that, but it really didn't change anything for me. The thing that did change something, and not in a good way, is the not adaptive sound control. The fact that Honda put a microphone in their cars and it picks up engine noise in sport mode and plays it. And I know when I bought my first SI, I was looking at like Volkswagen and Ford Fiestas, and I know the Volkswagens do that also. But I don't think the Volkswagens need to do that in the first place. I mean, I think they sound throatier than the Civic SI does. The fact that Honda put it in this car, it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, if you look on the old SIs, like the 9th generation SIs, you'll see that they were a lot louder than the 10th generation SI. But that doesn't mean that a person driving the 10th generation SI wants fake noise added to their car. Like, it makes absolutely no sense to me. Just, you want the engine noise. If you're not happy with the engine noise, then you replace the exhaust. You replace the intake. Like, there's other things you can do besides faking it. And Honda clearly wanted to fake it to make... I have no idea why. I really don't know why. Now, I'm probably going to do a video in the future to show you how to disconnect that microphone if you want. But I really don't understand why Honda would put a microphone and have it play through the speakers in this car. It just makes absolutely no sense to me for many reasons, but we'll leave it at that. I just don't understand why Honda did that. Now the sound system's the exact same in this car, and I know in my other car I put a giant like subwoofer in the back and wanted a little more bass because this car doesn't have a lot of bass from the stock sound system. It's plenty loud, but it's really only good for mids and highs. It has no bass whatsoever. This one has the tiniest bit of bass, but not enough where I'm actually not gonna put the subwoofer in. I have it, I took it out of my old car, aftermarket sub, amp, wired to the battery. You just can't there's nothing like it. Having 1200 watts of power in the back and playing your favorite song, cruising at night. And I like to joke and say that with the subwoofer, this car has like massage seats, just because once the subwoofers really kick in, the back of your seats are vibrating like you wouldn't believe. So I'm not a big fan of the sound systems in any Honda. We have 4 of them sitting in our driveway. We have a CR-V, an Accord, a Pilot, and then my Civic SI. And sound system's never great in any of them. I don't understand. I know that Honda used to use Alpine, and I'm not the biggest fan of Alpine. I usually put, if I replace the speakers, put Pioneer. I'll put a Kicker sub. I've had a Polk sub before. So I'm not the biggest fan of Alpine. I mean, they should be good for a factory like spec sound system, but for some reason they just fall short on every car. Even a touring model Accord, it's like there's no bass whatsoever, and once you do turn up the factory sub, it sounds awful. It just, you can hear it clipping and peaking, and it's awful. So I'm not a big fan of the Honda factory sound system. That's why I normally swap it out. I'm currently not in sport mode, so I'm sure you can hear the engine noise, and that's real engine noise, not any of the sound coming through the microphone and the speakers and boosting it up. Don't need that.